Baleno Altura. It's a beautiful piece of engineering. Compared to the Baleno sedan, I think this has the nicest shape. It has the coolest looking rear end. The way the quarter panel at the back blends into the B pillar and the way the entire wraparound tail lamp assembly comes, it blends itself so well compared to the sedan, which feels like the designer was not too happy with his job and he just decided to just chop the boot abruptly and leave a tail lamp which just looks like it's a lot to desire for. Out of context, out of the box with our regular stream of cars, and we've gone completely different concept. We have a very nice pastel color of green, a cool looking wheel in 16-inch, and a body work which has been put together with a lot of effort. We've taken months of prep to put this thing together. To me, I think it's a work of art. Although we've resto-modded this car, like all other builds, the car isn't stock. Underneath we have the very silky smooth G16B motor, which is a motor that we really love. We built turbocharged variants. You can see a video of our 250 horsepower turbo build. It's a fantastic engine. In this particular car, it's a partially aspirated 125 bhp package. It's got a lighter flywheel and a custom final drive with very unique intake system which gives the car a lot more mid-range grunt than our typical G16B builds, and a very unique exhaust system which keeps noise levels very low and performs utterly brilliant. Then if you look at the car, you can see clearly it's stanched completely different. It has a custom coilovers which we specifically designed for this car, shot on 16-inch Yokohama tires and on a 5-spoke monoblock wheels. The car is completely stock on the inside. We wanted to really keep the OEM theme, and we still haven't completed the upholstery work on it. There are a few more things that we want to really do, but on the outside the car is pretty much stock, but with every detail on the bodywork and the attention that we've gone in terms of slightly giving our character with certain two-tone paint jobs and a lot of fine things that makes this build stand out from a typical resto mod. Now also has brake upgrades. It has a lot of work done on the chassis to keep it very tight, and we just had a few laps around the track as well, and the car feels extremely maneuverable and brilliant. Although it's a street car which is meant to be plush and comfortable, and of course not really that much of a daily, but yes, it is a comfortable car to be driven over weekends and go on long drives. We are here in Coimbatore, 350 kilometers away from home, and we came driving in this thing. Absolutely fine, brilliant, and gives fantastic fuel efficiency. So it's a great piece of engineering which was neglected, and we have brought it back to life in a completely different way to give an all new level of coolness to the Baleno Altura, a car which I consider personally to be one of the nicest looking JDM cars sold in India. Now let's take this car on a quick spin around Post High Performance Center, and not really a lap time because this is not a car that I want to really push, but let's just see how it feels. So hop in. Wagons are really cool cars. They're cars that represent a certain culture, lifestyle. For some reason it did not take off in India. I think it's just the perception. People never really understood the intent behind wagons, why manufacturers built them. They're extremely practical cars. Today everybody talks about a micro SUV, a mini SUV and a real SUV. Everybody likes a big car which has a lot of space. The third row not necessarily for people to sit in, but also a lot of boot space. Like you see most SUVs like the Creta and the Brezza, they don't really have a third row, but you have a large boot space to put stuff. Now the wagon concept is basically that of a car with no boot. You have the entire span of the roof extending backwards. That gives you so much practicality that people abroad use this to load surfboards and put a whole lot of things, do outdoor activities. But I guess the trend didn't really take off in India. But nevertheless, the coolness of what a wagon is, the styling and the way the body just blends itself towards the back, I think makes it look completely unique, and it gives a completely different character. In my opinion, a wagon, for some reason, a very weird reason, looks much more sexier than a typical saloon car. It's probably just me, maybe, but I'm not wrong alone, because there are lot of people these days who swear by wagons, and the tuning culture abroad is such that people are now taking old Mercedeses, the 190, the E30 platform cars, and converting them, giving them to coach builders and converting them to wagon style bodied cars. So it's such a cool concept for sure. Now, a Baleno typically is not a very nice car around corners. It's quite mellow, it's quite soft, it's very plush to really give a lot of nice ride quality, a great character, impeccable styling, and the way this car has come out, I think it clearly defines a completely different aspect of what a Baleno is, which otherwise is a boring and not so great looking car. So I think the Altura here, we are here on a racetrack. Now we're not going to be doing any lap times or anything. I think it's just a little too silly to be taking a car like this, not really on great tires, and it's not so purposeful to go around corners the way I would want to. But the fact that I can still drive the car a certain way with with great poise and with great handling, that in itself is a completely great experience for a street car like this. A car that can be driven across towns, a car that can be traveled with all your stuff and people. Very practical, utterly cool. And this car, I think, is a very nice statement car. Of all the JDM cars that were sold in India, I think the Baleno Altura stands out as a pure unicorn. A car that really has a character of its own, looks the part, and there is so much of JDM sense in this car. If you look at the styling of this car inside out, it's not really that Suzuki decided to just add an extension to the roof and then take the rear boot up. They've actually gone to the detail, and if you look at the way they've placed a lot of plastic components and the way the rear stepney wheel area is decked out, the practicality that's been, the thought that has been put into this car is incredibly commendable. Here's the Baleno Altura, very cool resto mod car that's from the early 2000s with the vibe of the 60s and 70s, and according to me, the nicest JDM car sold in India. Cheers. But the temptation to not do a lap when you're on a racetrack, very hard to resist. So I'll take it a little through the pace. Let's see how this thing really feels like. Screaming all the way. Tires are begging for mercy a little bit. Such a cool car.